All right, what the F happened? This is going to be insane. We're going to be talking about cryptocurrency today. We're going to be talking about governments that are banning cryptocurrency. We'll talk about all stuff related to the markets, and you are going to learn what not to do in today's markets because it's all craziness. So what the F? Join us now. All right, Stephen, welcome back to another week of What the F Happened. And boy, oh boy, has it been a week of craziness. It's always crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, good morning. I feel like every week it's crazier and crazier. There's a guy on Twitter, he wakes up every morning and writes, "Today's going to be insane." And I agree with that in the markets, especially these days. John McAfee suicided himself somehow this last week. I mean, all kinds of crazy stuff going on to talk about.
Oh, man, it's going to be good stuff. So let's roll into this thing. All right, folks, we're rolling, and you got to put in your comments because what are you doing in the markets? What are you doing with cryptocurrency? That's the real question. Everybody wants to talk crypto, whether it's Dogecoin, that shit coin, or whether it's Bitcoin or Ethereum or any of the other ones. I mean, I can't even keep track. Honest to God, there's more new things coming out, and yet everybody is investing in them. Oh, this one's only a penny. Oh, this one's a fraction of a penny. I'm investing in this. I'm investing in that. I don't understand it all, but you know what? The thing I got to get down to, and we're going to talk a little bit about Formula One. You know, everybody knows what Formula One is, one of the largest race, car events that there are out there. Formula One strikes a $100 million cryptocurrency sponsorship. So we're definitely going to talk about that. If on board, and NASCAR's got Dogecoin on some of their race cars. We really got to figure out what is going on with this. So I want to know all of your comments. I want to know, are you investing in crypto? I actually want to know how many of you bought Bitcoin at 60,000, and I want to know how you're feeling right now. But we're going to talk about some strategies. We're going to talk about this Formula One deal. We're going to talk about UK, United Kingdom. Their financial regulators are barring a crypto exchange called Binance. Talk a little bit about that. Is that on your end, Stephen? We got some weird stuff going on with the computers today. But anyway, let's dive right into this cryptocurrency. I'm going to share my screen here, Stephen, and we're going to dive into what is going on with this cryptocurrency stuff here. Here we go. There it is. So Formula One strikes a $100 million cryptocurrency sponsorship. There it is, the race car right on the screen. What are they doing? This deal is a global partnership and will provide Crypto.com a brand presence in the Formula One Sprint Series. So here's my problem with Bitcoin and all cryptos. Now, Bitcoin has a finite number of coins, but all of these different cryptos, they're all just something that was created digitally. There's nothing tangible behind them. When you invest in Apple or you invest in Microsoft or Tesla, there's factories, there's warehouses, there's offices, there's assets behind those companies. There's fundamentals behind those companies. That's the problem. Like Warren Buffett and Graham hate cryptocurrencies, period. They hate talking about them in every meeting for Berkshire Hathaway. They're talking about it in a negative sense because fundamentally, they can't make sense of it. And fundamentally, they look at it and they say, what is this? What are the assets? And why would we invest in that? So I want to know all of your opinions. So we got one that just came in. I'm confused with all these altcoins being introduced daily. Are they going to work? That's an awesome question. Stephen, do you have a comment on that?
There we go. Yeah. I mean, like you said, it's hard to keep up with. That's for sure. There's There's new altcoins coming out every day. I didn't know the latest was the Shiba Uno. Somebody was talking about the other day. I was like, what in the world is that? It's another dog coin. So it just seems to be nonstop.
And it's interesting. And someone just asked about this on Instagram. All these new coins, like, is there any substance to them? Are they going to be around? Well, here's the thing. Right now, any of you watching this, you can go out and you can create your own coin, literally. And then you can tell all your friends about it, and they can tell all their friends. And if you get one or two influencers that start supporting it on one of their large Instagram pages or TikTok pages, boom, you got yourself a coin. You got yourself a crypto or an altcoin that you can actually go out and say has value. Now, is your altcoin worth $100 million, $100 billion? Well, that really depends on who wants to buy it. So when you look at Dogecoin, we all know is started as a joke. Okay. It was a joke, folks. And now it's worth more than Ford Motor Company. Now, if I were to pull up the fundamentals, the sheets and all the balance sheets, the cash flow statements, the profit and loss statements of Ford Motor Company, I'm going to see lots of assets. I'm going to see a company that's been around a long time that has systems, processes, procedures, staff, and a heck of a company behind it. And then I go over here and I look at this other one, Dogecoin, and I look at it and I say, okay, somebody says it's worth this. Somebody says it's worth that. There's this many coins out there. It's got a valuation worth more than Ford Motor Company. Why? Because people are buying into the hype. And here, listen, let me give you a little bit of a history lesson here real quick. And Stephen, you remember this, you're old enough. The dot-com crash. I remember watching Super Bowl before the dot-com crash happened. This would have been late 1990s. You're watching the Super Bowl for the commercials. Because come on, folks, you all watch Super Bowl partly because of all the great commercials, right? Be honest with me. How many of you actually watch the Super Bowl for the game, or how many of you watch it for the commercials? If you watch the Super Bowl for the commercials, in the comments, write commercials. If you watch the Super Bowl for the game, write game. I want to see what the audience is. I'm a commercial guy, just not a football guy. Steven, I bet you any money you'd put game in there.
I don't even watch the commercials.
Going back to the Super Bowl, and just so everybody knows, Super Bowl commercials are not cheap. All I remember seeing are all these companies that I'd never heard of, that I'd never seen, that made no bloody sense. They were all these tech companies doing this or that or whatever they were doing. And they were all worth significant money. Tens, hundreds of billions of dollars these companies were worth because somebody cooked the books or somebody said that it was worth X. Now, how did they come up with valuations on those tech companies back in the day? Was it number of clicks? Was it number of free subscribers that subscribed for it? Was the number of paid subscribers that were subscribed to that? It was a variation of multiple things, but it wasn't based on any fundamentals. And then for any of you old enough, or for any of you smart enough to actually Google the dot-com crash and read about this, you would find out that a lot of those companies were created to these massive industries, these massive companies based on absolutely nothing, a house of cards. And when the dot-com crash happened, boom, they were all gone just like this. That's right. One event wiped almost all those companies out and brought the entire market down. Why? Because the tide rises and lifts all boats, and it also brings all boats down with it. So if you look at that, that's what happened then. And the same exact thing will more than likely happen here. So, and I think his name is Ankit, said, I'm confused with all these altcoins being introduced daily. Are they gonna work? No, they are not. Now, a lot of people, I didn't wear my haters need hugs shirt, so I got to be careful today because I don't have a hat or a shirt on supporting this, but a lot of people think that they're going to be around forever. A lot of people think that these Dogecoins, these altcoins are going to go to the moon.
Well, hey, Chris, there's precedent of this happening in the past too. And this was actually, I was out last night at trivia and it came up as one of the questions, and I'm horrible at trivia, but I actually got this question right. But it was back in the 1600s in Holland, what type of bulb was used as a currency? What was being driven as a currency? Yeah, tulip, exactly. But a lot of people were making those comparisons with some of these shit coins to that tulip craze back in the 1600s. So it's happened before. What happened with those?
Absolutely. So
history repeats itself. Yeah,
any of you that haven't looked at that's exactly what you should look at, the tulip bulb. The tulip bulb was the same thing as these altcoins, was the same thing as a lot of the companies that you're seeing today being worth more than Ford Motor Company. And then when, a lot of people buy into this right here, Formula One strikes $100 million cryptocurrency sponsorship. So why, if crypto isn't going to be around forever, if there's any thought that maybe it won't be, why would Formula One get on board? Why? Folks, understand marketing 101. Formula One is not a stupid company, and they understand that everybody's talking about crypto. Everybody is interested in crypto. It's one of the #1 search things on the internet. So why wouldn't Formula One dump some marketing monies into a sponsorship with cryptocurrency? It makes all the sense. It doesn't mean cryptocurrencies or altcoins are going to go to the moon. It simply means Formula One's a smart company, understands what the market as a whole and their demographic is searching for, and it's obviously cryptocurrency. So they're sponsoring it. So with
and the other thing on that, Chris, is that they're not necessarily sponsoring cryptocurrency, because cryptocurrency isn't really a thing. Like, nobody even really knows who invented Bitcoin or where it really honestly came from, right? I mean, isn't that kind of an unknown?
Kind of. I mean, some people say that they know the history. Like, Spencer said he kind of had the history figured out. I don't.
They think though, but nobody actually really knows. They think it's the Satoshi guy, right? That
must be China.
But when they say 100 million, who's that 100 million going to? It's going to a company, crypto.com, who's just somebody like you or I, who just happens to own that domain and is built around it, right?
Yeah, must be.
I mean, so you got to think, follow the money. It's all marketing, like you said. It's very smart, though. Absolutely.
It's very smart. I mean, you can't say anything about it. So I'm going to put Steve's up here. So Steve said, but what happens if Amazon picks up Dogecoin as a form of payment? Then it's no longer becomes a shitcoin. And you're correct. So Steve says, what happens when Amazon accepts Dogecoin as a form of payment? Could that day come? I don't know. Who am I to say it can't come? In this world and what's happening, I mean, what the F? Everything's possible. It doesn't matter. But if that happened, yes, now all of a sudden Dogecoin has a valuation. And that valuation is still based on complete speculation. Let's take that. Okay, so Steve said, what happens if Amazon picks up Dogecoin as a form of payment? Does that mean that Dogecoin is the king shit? It's going to go to the moon and it's no longer a shit coin? No, it's still a shit coin. It just means that Amazon wants to capitalize because a lot of people have Dogecoin. And just like Tesla, how many of you remember Elon going public, tweeting and everything else saying, we will accept Bitcoin as a form of payment for Tesla? Steven, you remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah, you could buy a Tesla, any model you wanted with Bitcoin. Then all of a sudden, not too far after that, he texts or tweets again saying, we no longer accept Bitcoin as a means of payment because it's bad for the environment. Really, dude? Bad for the environment. So launching spaceships into space and crashing about 100 or whatever, however many of them they crash, that's not bad for space or for the economy. That's not, or not the economy, I'm sorry, the environment. That's not bad when a spaceship full of fuel crashes in the ocean or when it explodes in the ocean. Anyway, all I'm sitting there trying to explain is it doesn't mean anything if Amazon accepts Dogecoin, except for now it actually has a means of exchange. Because what is money? Stephen, what is money actually?
Means of exchange.
That's it. It's a means of exchange. So what is money? Is money these $100 bills that we earn? Yeah, this is money. Money is anything. Money is Bitcoin. Money is shit coins. Money is this currency here, whether it's green, purple, pink, doesn't matter. Money is nothing more than something we use as a means of exchange. And money back in the day was nothing more than bartering. We exchanged goods and services, and that's how we did it. And then we just put something like a gold coin, or, eventually it became into just a useless piece of paper. And you remember in Germany, back in the early 1920s, I believe it was, the German currency, the Reich, I can't remember what it was called. Do you remember what the German currency was back in the 20s?
No.
Well, whatever it was worthless. They kept printing and printing and printing more. So you had to fill a wheelbarrow up full of German money, wheel it over just to buy a loaf of bread. You've all heard that story. So what is money? A means of exchange. What is Dogecoin? Eventually, maybe another means of exchange. It's whatever somebody's willing to accept for something. So Stephen, thank you or Steve, thanks for your comment on that. I love it.
Yeah, and for the record, Amazon is not accepting Dogecoin.
Yeah. Let's be clear.
Not happening. That's not going to happen.
They're not accepting it as a means of exchange, and probably will not. But you know, it's possible because hey, this is what the F happened, folks. A weekly show where we talk about the market in review, and we have some fun with it, making fun of what's going on out there. Because really, there's nothing else to do but make fun of what we see going on, because it's literally complete nonsense. Look at the stock market. Some people right now, and I bet you a lot of people watching this think the stock market's just going to keep going up and up and up and up and up and up, and the government's going to just keep printing money and money and money and money, and if they do that, the market just keeps going up. No, they're creating bubbles that eventually will pop, and I wish they would have popped years ago, because as the government keeps doing what they're doing, trying to play God, because that's what they're trying to do, trying to drive all these prices up and prevent the next Great Depression or recession or correction, whatever you want to call it, all they're doing is prolonging the bubble pop and making it bigger and bigger and bigger, which means the problem that we had before is now a much bigger problem coming. So anyone that thinks that this thing's not going to explode and that the valuations of just about everything are going to deflate, we're living in a fantasy world, literally. What is the most famous fantasy movie, Stephen? Name one. God, what is it? Where she was always, I think it was based on LSD or something. What was that with the cat? What is that movie?
Alice in Wonderland.
Alice in Wonderland. That's what we're kind of living in, a false reality. It's not even real anymore. I mean, the market's doing what they're doing. It's craziness. Well, let's get on to another topic. And I know a bunch of people are asking, what is the topic? The topic is what the F happened in the markets. That's the topic. It always is, every week, same day, same time. So, Stephen, what else do we want to talk? You want to talk about this giant lawsuit? So in Wall Street Journal, and I'll put it up here, in the Wall Street Journal, Juul. Now, if you guys don't know what Juul is one of those e-cigarette things, right? So a lot of people see their friends with e-cigarettes, and you know, whether you like it or not, a lot of people were smokers and they switched over to these. Well, Juul is now pegged as actually marketing and targeting teens in some of their marketing. And because of that, there was a lawsuit brought to them by North Carolina, and the first of many e-cigarettes. And like, okay, these Juul ones, I see them everywhere. Everybody seems to have these Juuls. So Juul Labs agreed to pay $40 million to the state of North Carolina to settle a lawsuit alleging that the e-cigarette maker had targeted underage users, resolving the first of a string of legal and regulatory challenges facing the once hot startup. So we all know what happened with cigarettes. The cigarette industry got decimated by a giant lawsuit. They're still paying for that today. They can't do anything. If you've ever seen any ads for cigarettes, they have this giant banner on it saying, this will kill you. This will rot your lungs and everything else. So, I mean, we see a lot fewer people smoking, but now Juul comes in and e-cigarettes come in, and now they're doing this. So is Juul and the entire e-cigarette market going to be a thing of the past because regulatory and lawsuits and things like this are going to put them under? I'd love your comment and your opinion on that. Stephen, what do you think?
I think it's the cigarette company pushing these lawsuits so you can put these guys out of business and people go back to smoking. How about that?
Actually, I never thought about that. So they there's pressure on these e-cigarettes, and then everybody just goes back. Well, if those are so bad for me, I guess I'm just going to go back to smoking cigarettes. All right, that could happen.
Other than that, I don't know. I mean, it's you're right. I mean, you see those little Juul things everywhere, so I know it's a hot thing. So you shouldn't be targeting kids, though. Period. I mean, if you're doing that, you deserve to pay.
Totally agree on that. Now, you know, this week there wasn't a ton of stuff that happened in the news, so we're picking on some things like this. But I want to ask one person something. Thomas put a comment up. He said, "Damn, I just bought $1,000 of Dogecoin." Thomas, I need you to answer this question. Why? What was the motivating factor that got you to buy $1,000 worth of Dogecoin? Please send that in the comments, because this answer will absolutely pave the way to why everybody is buying Dogecoin. But I want his opinion on why he bought Dogecoin. What was the motivating factor What did you look at? What did someone tell you that really you said to yourself, this Dogecoin thing is going to the moon. I have to invest in it. We want your answer. So please throw it in there so we can talk about that, because I think that is something that a lot of people really, really want to know about. Yes, Catherine, we all want it to go away as well. So here we go. So Thomas said, oh, that was a joke. I have Bitcoin, not Doge. Okay. All right. I thought we were on to something there. I thought, yes.
Somebody on here's got Doge. Somebody does. Who's got Doge on here?
Oh,
Doge
Benjamin just said FOMO. Benjamin's the most, that's the best answer you could ever do. FOMO. Does everybody here know what FOMO means? It means fear of missing out. It's a euphoria. People are investing in just about anything they can put their money in. Number one, a lot of people have extra money right now because of COVID. They couldn't spend money. So, between unemployment bonuses and everything else, people just have disposable money. So when they were sitting home, they started trading. They started buying into these. They started learning how to do this. Some people are making millions of dollars. I was just at a mastermind this weekend out in Miami, and I was talking to one guy, and one of his employees, okay, he runs a wholesale company. One of his employees made $400,000 on shitcoins. And I sat there and I looked at him. I said, that's freaking awesome. He did a good job. He said, well, here's how he does it. We'll talk about how he made money in shitcoins and how you can make money on, we'll just talk Bitcoin. But I said to him, I said, well, did he sell it? He said, no, he thinks it's going to go much higher. I said, that is the word that always brings everybody down to nothing. I think it's going higher. I think it's going to do better. I think we can make more. Greed, greed, and greed is one of the most dangerous things in this whole equation, summed up by Benjamin's comment of FOMO. Fear of missing out is no different than greed. Everybody is greedy. I think most investors are no better than a gambler sitting at a blackjack table, literally with their house on the line because they just feel like they're going to miss out on that next hand. It's no different right now. And this has happened before as well. And we'll look at 1929. Right before the Great Depression really kicked in, there was a lot of people and a lot of FOMO going on. Everybody was throwing everything in. And we all know what happened. We all saw pictures or videos or YouTubes or even movies about the Great Depression. It wiped almost all of those people out. But not everybody. There were smart ones, like Kennedy Sr., who he was getting his shoe shined by a shoe shine boy, and the shoe shine boy was giving Mr. Kennedy stock advice. Kennedy looked at that and said, you know what? If this shoe shine boy is giving me advice on what stocks to buy, maybe I should get out of the markets altogether. And he did. He went through a process and sold out of the markets, and then he shorted the markets and he made a ton of money. He wasn't alone. There was a lot of people that saw that coming. They saw the FOMO, the euphoria, they got out, and when the whole thing crashed, they bought back in. The name of the game to making money, and just so all of you know, this is what the F happened, a week in review in the markets, but here's a piece of advice that will always serve you well, always. It can't fail. To make money in the markets, here's all you need to do. Number one, buy low. Now, how do you quantify buy low? Do the research. Buy low, okay? When there's blood in the streets, okay? When everybody out there is saying that they're losing money, when there's fear, lots of fear, not greed. There's too much greed right now. When there's fear, it's a good signal to buy. Number two, sell high. When is high? High is when everybody else is plowing money and when everybody else is buying everything thinking it's going to the moon. Right now, look around, look at any chart, any index. It's the highest the market's ever been. Number two, sell high. And number three, and most important, don't lose money. But the best part about number three is we don't have to quantify it. We don't have to do anything at all to make number three happen. So how is it that we can not lose money? How can that be an automatic? Simple. If you buy low, number one, and sell high, number two, you physically can't lose money. But what do people do? I want to know, what does everybody think people do? Steve said it's a gamble. You're right, but this is the gamble that people do. They reverse the order. They, number one, buy high. That's what they do. How do we quantify that? Look around, folks. Everybody's buying right now. Every advisor is telling people plow into the market, go to the market. It's still got a lot of room to go. Maybe it does, and maybe it doesn't. But the markets unquestionably are at the highest point ever. And then what do they normally do when the market goes down? Like the screen here, they sell low because they get scared. Fear kicks in, reality kicks in, they sell low. And what happens if you buy high and sell low? Number 3, you lose money. You don't have to work for that. You don't have to try to have it. It's an automatic, just like what you should be doing, which is buy low, sell high, and don't lose money. Most people buy high, sell low, and lose money. But everybody right now is caught in the euphoria. And I bet you a lot of you are thinking, oh, that's not going to be me. I'm going to get out when the market goes down. Well, what you don't understand is when the market lets loose, when the market starts going, it's going to be the first drop is the biggest. You could probably expect about a 50% correction right out of the hole. And how long will that take? Well, I don't know. COVID took about a week, maybe a month. If you really wrap it all into one, it happens quick. Can you get out? The people that think they're going to get out at the top always get out close to the bottom because you can't time the market. No one can. I can't. Stephen can't. Ray Dalio can't. Warren Buffett can't. But what's Warren Buffett, Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg, and Ray Dalio all talking about and doing right now? Selling. Look it up, folks. There's YouTube videos. There's all sorts of press. The big dogs, the billionaires are selling right now. They're not buying, while all of you and everybody else you surround yourself with are buying into the FOMO. Sorry, you might not like what I'm telling you, but it's the truth, and the truth hurts. Stephen, what do you have to say about that?
No, man, it's crazy. We talk about it all the time, and it's so true. And I think it's even more than people buy low and sell high in the FOMO. I just don't think they know what they're doing. So they just are just going along, buying and buying and buying and buying and not paying attention. And all of a sudden it all drops and you lose half your money and it's all gone and you can't do anything about it. So it's a little bit of financial education, a little bit of planning will go a long, long way. So congrats to everybody on here. I want to scroll up real quick, Chris, to one comment. Somebody said, when can we expect the Chris Naugle coin to come out? And I know you're working on a little decoder type coin. So maybe tell them a little bit about that. That's going to be a kind of a crypto.
When does the Chris Naugle coin come out? That's a great question. And at first I was thinking it was a joke, but you're absolutely right. We do have a coin of sorts called the decoder. And the only way there is absolutely a finite number of these coins. How many? 25. And how do you get one of these coins? That's a great question. You go and have an experience with me. It is the only way you can get the decoder coin. And when you get the decoder coin by going to an event that we're doing called The Experience, August 27th to the 29th at my house, you will be mailed a unique, one of a kind, one of 25 decoder coin. And that coin will then come with clues. You will be then mailed clues and you will have to solve riddles based on this coin. Riddles and different clues will be sent, or different clues will be sent to you, and you will literally decode the clue. And then once you solve that clue, you get a prize. So does my coin have an actual substance, a fundamental value? I don't know. It is just a coin like all the others, but it's tangible. You have to hold it. You have to decode. So it's pretty cool. And at the end, there is an asset. There is something that you get. It's not dollars, but it's an actual tangible thing that you will win when you decode this. And the only way to get one of those 25 coins is to have an experience with me, because I'm all about experiences. If we're going to live life just going through it aimlessly, just chasing, whatever we're chasing, we don't stop and smell the roses. We don't actually make memories and have experiences enough. That's what it's about. So Stephen, you want to type that into the comments, or I think I have to do that? So I'll put it in there for you guys. It's Money School. So if anyone wants to learn more about how they can come to that, it's money-school.com/money-multiplier-experience. So what I'll do is I will copy this and I will put this into Instagram as well. And that is how you would all join me. So Stephen, I want to put one more up on here. And this one was pretty interesting. Hong Kong to ban passenger flights from the UK starting this Thursday, citing extremely high risks. So here we go again. And I'm going to just type this into Instagram. I want you to kind
of. We have some friends in Australia, and they're going in lockdown right now also.
Yeah, it's so that, is the next COVID coming? This is something that's very real. So here we go, Instagram. I'm going to put this in here while Stephen talks a little bit about Hong Kong banning passenger flights from the UK. What do you have to say about that, Stephen?
Yeah, it's
scary, man.
Ban passenger flights from the UK. I mean, it's just, I mean, I would think that we would learn from the past, and most data that I've seen, and lockdowns don't necessarily work at all. So I don't know why we're going back to it when it's destroyed the economy. We're printing more money to keep on top of it than ever created in history. I mean, there's so many problems with going backwards right now. I'm not a fan at all. I don't think this is going to end well.
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting that you said that, but you're absolutely correct. It's like we all can see right by history that the states, or even the countries, Canada, God bless those poor people, the countries and the states that closed and shut down for prolonged periods of time are suffering the worst. California, New York, where I live, Canada is suffering tremendously. I have friends up there, and they can't understand why they're still shut down. And then
Canada's horrible. Yeah, Canada's bad.
Unreal. And then states like Florida and Texas have pretty much, I don't want to say been wide open, but been open. And I don't know if anyone has been to Florida lately. Not so bad. Doesn't even really feel like much happened. Now, maybe there's numbers in the data that we don't know, but what is the answer? Is it locking things down again? Well, call anyone from Canada and ask them how that's working out. And I guarantee you, they will tell you it's not. This is a very, touchy subject for people. I've lost friends to COVID. I've being in New York, I've seen too many people have COVID. So I'm not debunking COVID or, the vaccines or anything like that, but we have to really look at it and say, is closing an entire state down, putting unnecessary regulations in force to try to control people, because that's all it is a control tactic. Is that the right thing to do versus what Florida and Texas and other states have done that actually are doing better than anyone else because they made different decisions? That's interesting. I'd love all of your opinions on that. So, we got another comment that just came in from Steve. Steve said, Robinhood, Webull opened up the floodgates for the little guy. I guess there's kind of some truth with that, with GameStop and AMC and all those, like Robinhood kind of paved the way for the little guy coming in and being able to band together and challenge the hedge funds and institutions. I think in the end, the little guy will not win that battle, as you saw with GameStop, because they just shut the markets down. The other thing, too, that was interesting, if anyone remembers, just about a week ago, the Fed was talking about peeling back some of this, this easing that they're doing, the bond buybacks and everything else. They were talking about maybe they're going to start scaling that back. Then all of a sudden they changed their tune when Wall Street started crying like a little bitch baby. I shouldn't say bitch and baby the same thing. I got a little one, but like a little bitch. They were complaining and the markets went down. And then all of a sudden the Fed came back and said, no, we're probably going to not do anything until 2023. And then the markets rally again. You ever look at that? You ever wonder why those things happen? Because I don't have the answer, but I'd love to know your opinion on that. So let's see, Stephen, what else can we talk about here?
What do we got?
High and sell low. I'm just looking through some of these comments. We got a lot of good ones here. There we go. Catherine said, I have $100, just like my two GameStop. I can't go to Vegas, so I'm gambling. Okay. Interesting. That's very interesting. Gambling on GameStop. I don't know how that'll work out. I really don't. Steve, how are these coins coming out? So if I go to the store and buy something, can I pay with 1,000 different types of currencies? No. What sense does it make? So he's absolutely right. So let's just say you got a Coinbase account and you've got a whole bunch of coins in there, and you go into Walmart and you got to buy something that you need really bad. You're going to get some groceries, you're going to get some medicine for your cold and whatever else you got going on. Oh, and by the way, if you got a cold, it must be COVID. I don't know many people that have had a cold lately. Everybody and everything, like flu's gone. Like, I didn't know that, Stephen. Did you know that they eradicated the flu? It's completely gone.
Congratulations.
I know, like, I'm so proud. They finally got rid of the flu. Or did they? Is the flu now COVID? Did they just more? I don't know, like so many questions come to my mind, but hey, listen, for all intents and purposes, the flu is gone. Yes, I never liked that thing anyway. So we got rid of that. But right here, like the same thing with all these different coins, you can't go into Walmart and pull out your Coinbase and start buying goods and services. So there's no means of exchange with cryptocurrencies, even if there was. So, and I can't because I got my phone up here with IG. Even if you could, let's just use Bitcoin. You walk into the store, and from the time you walk through the front door of Walmart to the time till you get back to the back to buy cat food, and you get up to the checkout, your Bitcoin dropped 10%. So does that mean that your goods and services just went up 10%? Or does that mean your currency lost 10% value in the 10 minutes it took you to walk to the back of the store in the front? The volatility is way too high. And how do you regulate that? How do you basically make it so that cryptos, shitcoins, or Bitcoin are on a level playing field? I'll tell you, look at what the government did. They will ban it. And I don't know if this will happen. They will ban it. They will put a steady value on it, and they will control the value of the coins. And any of the shit coins will simply be something traded on the secondary market or the black market, or any of the dark pools, where things are traded with alternate things. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah, and that's happening. I mean, China's banned mining, I believe, right, of Bitcoin and whatnot, and now they're coming out and saying they're creating their own state-sponsored cryptocurrency. And I saw some articles on CNBC this morning talking about that, how that probably would not be a good thing for the world. So it's happening. I mean, a lot of talk of the digital cryptocurrency for the United States and moving to digital dollars and all that. I mean, when that happens, watch out existing cryptos like Bitcoin, because they're not going to compete. They're going to bulldoze you.
Absolutely. And if China does this and they start doing that, and they create their own standard digital currency and they ban everything else, you don't think other countries are going to take, and follow suit? Absolutely. Will they? No. But will big ones? Yeah. Will Russia? Will China? China's already kind of doing that. But will EU follow? Will US follow? It's interesting. We're going to find out, and it's probably going to happen much quicker, because based on the news, we're seeing things happen very quickly because they're trying to regulate it as it gets more and more popular. If you don't think the government's got the all-seeing eye watching this, saying, hey, we got to figure this out. And how would they do it? Well, I don't know. How'd they do it with gold? Steven, you remember what they did with gold? They just banned it. They made it illegal to own gold. Trade all your gold into Fort Knox, and we're going to basically give you X amount of dollars per ounce of gold. And here we go. And that's how they did it. And that's more than likely how they'll do it here. But will everybody turn it in? No, absolutely not. So what will happen to the value if they don't turn it in? I don't know. We're about to find out. But is Bitcoin going to go to 120,000 like so many people thought? I don't know, maybe. There's a whole bunch of I don't knows, but those I don't knows come with unnecessary risk. And this is What the F Happened, a weekly show where we talk about what happened in the week or the week past, and you then comment. So we're loving this stuff. The Fed makes policy independent of the government. Does the sitting president affect the economy? IMHO a bit, but not much. So does everybody understand that the Federal Reserve is not owned by the US government? Does everybody understand that? The Federal Reserve is owned by, I don't even think we really know, but the wealthiest families in the world, the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, and many other. If you really read some books like The Secret of the Federal Reserve, if you can get that little gold book, because it's illegal and banned, I have a copy, but I'm not giving you mine. Or if you read The Creature from Jekyll Island, you start to uncover and realize what the Federal Reserve is. The Federal Reserve, even though it says federal, is not the federal government. They are their own entity, their own system, if you will, that really, if you ask me, controls the government. Because what is the statement, Stephen? And all of you comment on this. The person with the gold, what is that statement?
I think he wrote it in there actually on the next comment. He who owns the gold makes the rules comes to mind.
There you go. He who owns the gold makes the rules. And then it was also said is own nothing but control everything. So if you just look at those two things, that sums up pretty much what the Federal Reserve is. So you got to really look at it and say, hey, what do I do? Who's in control? They are, because they own the gold. So more.
Yeah, there's no way we would be in the market we're in right now in stocks and real estate. There's no way this market would exist without the Fed doing what they're doing. So they control literally everything.
So the ruling elite, the old saying, there we go. He who owns the gold makes the rules. Yep. So I didn't see that. Thanks for bringing that up, Thomas. And so the rules are made to control the economy, keep everything on par or heading upward, or crashes occur just like history. Yeah, a lot of people don't understand that a stock market crash is a pattern, a rhythmic, cyclical, predictable pattern, always has been. And a lot of people are now of the thought that this pattern isn't going to happen because the 10-year pattern is pushing on. We're past the 10-year pattern, but there's a 45 and a 90-year pattern, which we're just coming up on. So now you got a 10-year, a 45, and a 90 all converging. So what does that mean? Well, to me, in the books I read, which a lot of them, it means the next Great Depression times 10. So let's 10x that son of a bitch in Great Depression, and that's what the F is about to happen. What are your thoughts on that, Stephen? That's a pretty bold statement I just made there.
Wait, which one are we on?
The one I just said.
Oh, say it again. Sorry. I was reading something.
About, what's coming, the 10-year, the 45-year, the 90-year cycles all converging and creating what I think is going to be the next Great Depression 10x.
Yeah. It's definitely coming. I mean, it's, there's so much going on right now around the world and within this country alone. I mean, all that stuff is diverging upon itself. It's like the perfect storm. It's you better be ready for it. I mean, that's all I got to say. And one thing I wanted to say, USA is a democracy. Actually, the USA is a republic, and there is a difference there. So not that gets into this conversation, but there's a lot that goes into everything that's happening. I mean, the country's ripping apart right now, which isn't going to help anything either. That's only going to lead to further downside. I mean, California has stopped state travel to something like 20 states that have over 100 million people living in them. So the U.S. is ripping apart. The world is going, China's taking stuff over right now. There's a lot going on. The Fed is pushing all this crazy policy. Things are all going to diverge at the same time. It all seems to be coming together. And when you look at market patterns and that on top of it all couples together, I mean, it just doesn't paint a pretty picture,
Yeah, and here's an interesting thing from Instagram that came in, and I don't know if this is true, but they're talking about Indian women's jewelry. Indian women use twice as much gold as jewelry in the world, I think it's trying to say than the world banks use gold. That might be true. I don't know. That would be crazy. And then the next one, Mount Green said the silver averaged out at $38. 2011, but it never recovered. And he or she is absolutely correct. And if you guys look at the charts, but see, nobody looks at charts anymore. Everybody's just buying into FOMO and the euphoria right now. Nobody's looking at fundamentals. How many of you that are investors actually know how to read a chart? Okay, maybe half of you. How many of you actually know how to read a balance sheet and look through a prospectus and know what you're looking at? How many of you? Seriously, be honest with yourself. Very few would be the correct answer. And I'm not trying to sit there and downplay any of you, but that's not what you're taught. That's not what people tell you. That's not what you've learned, because not many of you have read Warren Buffett's books or any investing books. You're just buying into what everybody else is doing. You're sheep buying and just following the sheep ahead of you. The lion are literally planning and preparing to eat all your asses or drive you off the cliff. That's what lions do. They eat things. And the sheep, all the people buying into FOMO and just following the herd and just doing what everybody else is doing, that's what's going to happen. Extinct. The lions are going to take over. And I don't say that in a nasty way. I'm just trying to help wake people up that you need to learn what investing is. You need to learn how to follow rules. And earlier I said, how do you buy crypto? So let's do this as a final bonus session, because crypto.
Well,
Go ahead.
Chris, while you're clearing that, Chris, while you're setting that up real fast, I want to go back to one comment, and it kind of sums up everything we're saying right now. Drew Hitchcock wrote on YouTube, "When in doubt, shovel all your money into your bank. The flash sales are coming," and that's absolutely right. When all of this hits the fan, all this shit hits the fan, and all these market lines converge, and everything explodes or implodes or whatever you want to call it, and things crash. That creates buying opportunities, but you have to be prepared, educated, and ready to pounce on those opportunities when they arise. More millionaires and billionaires are created when there's blood on the streets than any other time in history. So you have to be prepared for that. And one thing I want to clarify that I don't know if Drew is following us when it comes to privatized banking. But when he says shovel money into your bank, I want people to realize he literally means our own banks. Like what we do is teach how to become your own bank. So we're not talking about shoveling money into Wells Fargo or something like that, because your money in there is losing a lot of money every single day it sits in there. It's growing in a savings account at 0.1%. There's nothing that pays any interest. And what is inflation right now doing? It's going through the roof. They can say that's planned or transitionary or it's okay or whatever. It's not okay when inflation is doing what it's doing. Don't listen to that stuff. Get your money in a place that's at least outpacing inflation, where it's safe, it's protected, it's growing for you, and it's ready for when those opportunities arise for you to pull it out and for you to take advantage of all that stuff. So that's what privatized banking is. And that's why Chris and I spend so much time every single day talking to clients and creating trainings, teaching people how to take advantage and create their own privatized banks, because the time's coming. We can't time it. We don't know when. It could be later this year. It could be in 2022, 2023, but it's coming. And those of us that are prepared and ready for that are the ones that are going to create incredible legacies for our families for the future. So thanks for saying that, Drew. And I just thought it kind of brought it all together right there.
Yeah. And I like, and maybe I'm reading this wrong, but Steve made a comment here and he says, I don't want to depend on guys like you. So like Steve, in how I perceive that, and maybe I've got this wrong, Steve, but how I perceive that is he wants to learn how to do it based on his needs, his goals, and where he wants to go financially, instead of having to rely on a guy like me saying, hey, you should do this, or rely on a financial advisor. And what Steve, in my opinion, is saying, he wants to be in control of his money. And when you're in control of your money, which not many of you know how to be in control of your money yet, we're teaching you. When you get in control of your money, you absolutely will determine and find out how to move that money so that it will solve your money problems. And you don't need people like me or Steven or a financial advisor or a bank broker or anyone else to tell you how to do things with your money. Once you figure it out, it's a blue ocean. You can do anything you want. But I am going to give one tip, because Bitcoin, this is important. Now, this is simple investing. Okay, this is what most investors don't know or don't even look at. They just buy just to buy. They're just like buy and hold, right? That doesn't work for most. Not saying it doesn't work, it does. If you can buy and hold, most of you won't lose any money, but you'll ride a very vicious, terrible cycle, and you will hate the downsides. But it will work. But most people don't want to. So here's Bitcoin, right? If we were looking at a ceiling and a floor, just like the house, just like wherever you're standing, there's a ceiling above you, there's a floor below you. If you got a trampoline and you put it in that room and you started jumping on that trampoline and you put a helmet on and you just kept hitting the ceiling, eventually you would go through that ceiling and you would go into the attic, or at least your head would pop through the ceiling, as long as you don't hit a stud. Okay, and then you'd be up in the ceiling and then you'd probably bounce around in that attic. So all I'm saying is this is how different stocks, including Bitcoin, operate. Okay, they operate on a floor and a ceiling. It's called support and resistance. Now, I'm not going to get into a long lesson here, but I do want to just give you the support levels and the floor and the ceiling on Bitcoin right now. It's very easy to track and to trade. Here's what it is. Bitcoin has a very solid floor at $30,000, and it has a very, very solid ceiling, super easy to see, at $40,000. So this isn't for those of you that bought it at 60, because we got some time before we're ever coming back to you. But right now, you could trade this range. In other words, when Bitcoin sells down to around 30, this should be your buy. Okay. And I'm talking about rules. You got to set firm rules. Don't ever break these rules. Don't buy it when it hits 34 because you think it's close. 30 or below. So when it hits 30 or maybe 29, like last week, that's a buy. Okay. Then when it comes up, and it's going to trade sometimes in the middle of this range, but when it comes up to 40 or even exceeds 40, somewhere in there, this is a sell. Okay. This is your support and resistance levels, your floor and your ceilings. If you buy at 30 and sell at 40, you just did what we've been talking about. You bought at the low end of the cycle, not the lowest end, but you bought the low end of the pattern and you sold at the high end of the pattern, 30 and 40 right now. But eventually, we're either going to break below the floor floor and go down to another level, maybe 25, or I don't know, I haven't looked at this, 20 or 25,000, or maybe that doesn't happen. Maybe we bounce and we break through the ceiling and we go back up to 45,000. Not there. This is just today, the now. Buy at 30, sell at 40. That's exactly what I'm doing. And I don't care what anyone says. Wow, you shouldn't have sold it at 40. It went to 60. Good. Somebody else made money from 40 to 60. My buy was from 30 to 40. That is simple rules, simple ways you can trade, and it works for any stock. If you follow any stock, you can figure out the pattern and the range it trades within, and you can trade that range. But most people don't do that. They aimlessly just buy, don't even pay attention, and they never sell until it goes down. They get scared, fear kicks in, and they lose money. So there you go. That's how that aspect works. Now I want to pop up the final thing for today's What the F Happened. And this is what we always finish up with. One of my favorite things, and Stephen loves talking about this, fear and greed index. The only thing I really want to point out with fear and greed is I want to point out Warren Buffett. We talk about him a lot. He's probably the single greatest investor of all time in my book. Maybe Graham, you could say, but Warren makes things simple. He says, when others are greedy, be fearful. And then he says, when others are fearful, be greedy. So how do you know when people are fearful and how do you know when people are greedy? Well, we have a cheat. It's called the Fear and Greed Index. So Stephen, look where we're at on the fear and greed. Now you remember just last week, we were up here approaching the greedy side. And look at this. Now we're at a 35. We're starting to see some fear in the streets. There's no blood in the streets yet, but we got some fears chiming up. So what are your thoughts here?
I don't know. I gotta to tell you the truth, to be honest, I have no idea what this index is based on. I got to look into it more. This is more of a Sodi thing, but Sodi's not with us. So I just find it funny to see, like, each week, it just seems like it's, I don't know, throwing darts at a board, right? Why people are fearful now when the market's now been doing good, when last week they were greedy and the market was dropping. I don't know. I got to look into it for next week.
Well, it's probably because last week we had some sell-off in the market. Okay. And also we got a little sell-off this morning. So I think people are just seeing that it's at this high point. And anyone that knows how to read charts is seeing, wow, the megaphone pattern, we're peaking out right now. So we're probably going to sell off a little. That could be this, but you're right. It might be just throwing darts at the board. Today, this isn't a sign that says, oh my God, there's blood in the streets, which is when you really do. But if you look at this, when we get down around that extreme fear, that is a good sign that it almost will be time to start buying again. But most people want to buy when it says extremely greedy because it just feels good. So when we throw this up there, this is just an easy way to kind of talk about it and close this thing out. It's based on a lot of things. Normally we'd have Sodi explain this, but we just opened our own private hedge fund and we got our futures account finally approved. So he's off busy trading. And in the morning, right now, when the market opens, that's what he should be doing. So Stephen, what else do you have to say in closing for what the F happened? And we'll let everybody kind of do their own thing for the rest of the day.
Hey, it's been a fun week. We'll see you guys at 1 o'clock today. Chris and I have a really good training planned on retirement and taking back control of your money and different options for doing that for retirement. So join us at 1 o'clock Eastern for that. 4:30. If you have any questions, we do an Ask Me Anything every 4:30. Every Wednesday at 4:30 Eastern. So join us for that. It's a lot of fun. We usually grab a beer and have some fun doing that with our whole team. Other than that, make it an insane week. I know it's going to be, and we'll see what goes on over the next 7 days. And we'll be here next Wednesday at 9:30 Eastern, live and direct, bringing you all the news on what the F happened the previous week. So thanks, guys. Make it a great rest of your week, and happy 4th of July.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Out there. Yes, America. We love it, man. Here we go.
Happy 4th of July. Thanks for joining us for What the F Happened.
Here we go, baby. America. America, baby. America.
All right.
Everybody get.